Welcome back, everybody, to the Chroncast. I'm your host, Alex Rickman, editor and head writer at Canucks Chronicles and club reporter of Altitude FC. Joining me, as always, is Kaja Antic from Game Over Vancouver. Kaja, how are we doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. All right, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
Let's start with what's going on in the rumor mill this week, because it is getting a little crazy right now. We'll start with rumors surrounding Elias Pettersson. If the rumor mill is to believe, rumors that Elias Pettersson is currently in play and could be on his way out of Vancouver before his no-move clause kicks in on July 1st. Appears the front office is still not fully happy with him. I'm just going to try to dig up where these rumors come from again, but it was, I believe, reliable reporting. Kaja, thoughts on the idea that PD could be on his way out of town?
Why do we keep doing this, guys? Just wrap it up. No. I don't know. I just think it's dumb because this happens every month, it feels now. And the front office, it just seems like they're not happy with anyone, it feels at this point. So maybe they should self-reflect on that. They are the common denominator in this in all these situations. It's all their fault. Anyway, I don't know where they come from either, but I'm like, guys, wrap it up. I don't think that any team, if we traded him, risk is way higher than reward, especially after the last season. Because you're not getting Rantanen for him, you're getting Taylor Hall.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. No offense, Taylor Hall, but
had a quick Google search. So the rumors began with David Pagnotta. They have been further reported by Elliot Friedman.
Oh.
So
okay. I was hoping you'd say a different name that is not as knowledgeable.
Yeah. So Friedman is really not someone I'm gonna ever doubt. So.
Well, then that means
I'm not
going to
say
him.
He's on his way out of town, but if Friedman's there is some smoke.
Yeah.
Now, it depends obviously what the offers are too. Who's interested? How much are they interested in giving up? Where did the front office value Pettersson as well? Is it a situation kind of like the JT Miller situation where they're just wanting to get him out of town and will take a cut rate for him? Is it something where they're only going to move him if the right package appears? Obviously, they don't seem overly thrilled with him, so I don't think he's someone they're going to exactly be holding on to for dear life. I really question the idea of moving him. I don't think that's a wise way to go about things right now, unless there were to be some kind of unprecedented offer on the table, like something that I just absolutely don't see coming. We've seen some names in the news lately. We've seen Dallas, and we'll talk about them crashing out of the Western Conference Finals a little later in the show. We've seen some rumors about them potentially tearing things down a little bit. Names like Jason Robertson are reportedly in the middle. If we could bring Jason Robertson to Vancouver, I'd be really happy with that. But I don't know how interested Dallas would be in bringing in Elias Pettersson, so that might have to be two separate things.
I mean,
ultimately,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
He's of Finnish descent, so maybe they could put that in play somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's on his Wikipedia page. It must be true.
Wikipedia, the finest of sources, according to all my professors.
Yes.
Yeah, ultimately, I don't know where this is going to end up, but I'm worried. I do definitely think it's a possibility that we could see him moved at this point, especially if you have guys like Friedman talking about it. But that's... And I'm not even going to say it couldn't potentially work out because you never know what's going to happen, but it's a risk. It is a high risk.
They are. You know what? It makes sense. It makes sense that they also own the casino next door because they're gambling hard with this one. It's just so out there. It makes no sense, honestly. I get it. He's had a bad run of form, and he's he's not working up to your hard standards or whatever. Maybe to have a reality check for a second. I don't know. Maybe it's the environment that like sucks because you had a guy that you resigned instead of your other captain that you had a guy that hated his guts and you chose him over the other one. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I don't know. Um I'm also worried on the Quinn Hughes front if he got traded because like what's Quinn going to do then? Like that's I mean, to the best of my knowledge, that's his buddy. Like they had the young player trauma bond in the 1920 season. Like anyway,
When you said 1920 season, for some
SMH.
reason my brain went not to 2019-2020, but to the year 1920, and I was really confused where that sentence was going. I need caffeine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, the Leafs were still like eligible to win a Stanley Cup.
We're just gonna move past my giant brain fart. Onto goalie rumors, because we're not done with potential trade rumors today. Thatcher Demko's name is apparently out there too. If reports are to believe, he's not necessarily like asking for a trade, but would not be against a move away from Vancouver. There's also been, as pointed out by, first time I heard it was from Harman Dial on Canucks Conversation. The way Shilovs is playing right now, he's pretty impressive. And if he had to go on waivers at some point, which I believe he would at the start of training camp, he's gone. Like, no one is passing. He's gone if you put him on waivers. So,
5 shutouts.
Knowing we have 3 goalies who are under contract that require them to be in the NHL next season, with Demko, Lankinen, and Shilovs, Kaja, what do you think is the best way out of this situation for the Canucks?
I think Demko's gone.
Yeah?
They signed Lankinen. Demko is obviously somewhat of a liability at this point. And when I say somewhat, I mean he's definitely a liability, and I hate saying that about injury-prone players. But, like, come on. You missed so much of last season, and we still overplayed Lankinen, which led to him getting injured. And yeah, it's his first healthy off season. But no, I think Demko's gone by. I mean, that's the thing is like I'm worried about Shilovs going on waivers. I'm also worried about like literally anything happening because also I have a feeling that a goalie is going to get injured. So we could do like the emergency call-up basis, but after training camp, he's going to have to go on waivers regardless. It's just a lot of risk with putting him on waivers based on his performance, and he's obviously gotten a lot better since, you know, last year when or like this past NHL season when he only got wins against the Chicago Blackhawks. He's definitely worked on his game quite a bit, and granted, yes, he's still playing at an AHL level, but that's also because the NHL team is sucking. What else was I going to say about this? Yeah, I think Demko's gone. I think like he has 1 year left on his deal. If they're targeting other players, they signed Lankinen for a longer term. Shilovs is like the future. I think Demko, if they let him walk, I'm going to be so mad. Because then they're also going to probably have to let Shilovs go over waivers. I think Demko's gone. Demko's gone by October 9th.
Yeah, there's really not a situation here that I like all that much, to be honest. Because my problem with any of the scenarios is, like with Demko, obviously when Demko is being Thatcher Demko and able to play up to his ability, he is probably a top 5 goalie in the NHL. The problem is...
Yeah, for 10 games a year.
You can't rely on him to be healthy at any given moment. He's just so fragile. He misses so much time. If you just, like... I'm pretty sure he could get injured stepping out of his car at this point.
He's gonna stub his toe and, like, go on IR. Shout out Mookie Betts.
He'll only miss a few weeks.
No, when he's prime Demko, that's for 10 games a season. Yeah. There's 82 games in the year. If you're splitting that between 2 goaltenders, that's still 41 games.
Yeah, and then
you're getting subpar. Sorry.
All good. I'm not sure how comfortable I am with Lankinen going into the year as your like clear number 1 starter. If it was like a 1A 1B type thing, I might be a little happier with that. And with Shilovs, he is getting the results in Abbotsford, but I am still a little hesitant to go all in on him right now in the NHL just after what we saw last year, which was, let's face it, a really rough season in pretty much every performance he had that wasn't against Chicago. So I don't know how much faith I'd be putting in him right now, even with how good the AHL performances have been. If it was a year that I viewed as being less critical we're leading into towards keeping a guy who could retire as your greatest ever player, then I'd be a little more comfortable with Shilovs and then maybe figuring it out midway through if something doesn't work. But I don't know how much we have that luxury right now. So right now we're really in a situation where, again, any given option is taking a pretty big risk. It feels like any of these could go wrong in any number of ways. However, I would ultimately say I think I agree with you in that Demko is probably the one I would be looking to move here. More than anything because I think, one, he does probably, even with his injury problems, just off of his upside, fetch the biggest return. And I think it's a case where you do have to make a decision now, and his feels like the one where the decision is the most urgent.
Yeah. I was just going to make a point. When Shilovs was having those performances, it was earlier in the season when our defense core sucked. Later in the season, when Demko came back, our defense core was much better. Not saying that Shilovs is not at fault for bad performances. There was a number of times, but that could potentially we have a stronger D-core in front of him.
Yeah,
I don't know. So, I'm an Archer Shilovs truther, so.
So I, at one point around mid-season, for an article I was writing, went back and watched back every single goal Archer Shilovs had given up this year. First of all, that was the most torturous half hour of my life. Second of all, somewhere I wrote down what I thought of each one of the goals. I need to go dig that up. But basically it was well over half of them were something where I at least deemed it to be something that he was at fault for over the defense. Obviously, better defense means less of those chances that are his fault, but he became so predictable on so many of them where they kept going in the exact same way. So if he can work that... Now, the good thing is this means you know what you need to work on with him. It means, okay, if he becomes less predictable, if he's less just instinctively dropping into the butterfly for everything and letting him go over his shoulders, you're going to have a much better results. The thing is also, how easy is that to work out of his game? So at the AHL level, it does seem to be proving dividends. He's also doing fantastic in big moments for Abbotsford. I believe he has 4 straight shutouts in series clinching games, which I think that also tracks back to the NHL last season with our game against Nashville, but he's showing up in big moments, which is not easy to do, especially as a young player. But I do question how confident I'd feel in him over a full season in the NHL.
Yeah.
Especially behind someone like Lankinen rather than more of a clear number one starter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I just looked at his numbers for the playoffs. He has a .934 save percentage.
Oh yeah. No, his playoff numbers have been
in the playoffs
ridiculous.
908 in the regular season. In 21 games. That is still the highest, though, out of the goaltenders. Second was Ty Young in 11 games, had a 904, and then Nikita Tolopilo with a 902 for most of the season, because he was pretty much their starter whenever Shilovs was called up, and then they were 1A, 1B. Because Tolopilo's another young name that we need to watch out for.
Yeah. No, okay, he's played in 1 1/3 NHL games roughly, so I'm not going to say he needs to be in serious consideration for an NHL spot next year, but I've liked what I saw from him in his NHL action. It's, again, incredibly small sample size, but he looks like he's got the talent.
Oh yeah, he's a very good goaltender.
Yeah.
He's also massive. He's huge. I would like him to be, I think he'd be the good third string for next year. If an Shilovs misses some time, I think Tolopilo comes up, and then I don't know if Paterick is still with Abbotsford. Not sure what that situation is. Pretty sure we still have Ty Young for next year, though. So Abbotsford can figure it out. I trust in Manny Malhotra and his team there.
Young is also another young name to mention. Not as someone who I'd expect to play in the NHL next year, but just someone to watch going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I was at the game where Tolopilo made his NHL debut. Sitting in like seats that were way too nice for me down at the end where the Canucks were defending twice, so I had a good look at him. First of all, like you said, he is a giant human. Like if you could, he's the kind of guy where I look at him and think he could just stand there and he takes away pretty much the entire net. The other thing I noticed about him, this is not actually commentary, this is more just something I found interesting. He uses a really small glove.
I'm looking
His glove looks way smaller than what I'm used to seeing on other goalies, and the usher I was talking to this about at Rogers Arena figures it's more of just like when you're playing baseball, if you play infield, you use a smaller glove because you can be a little bit more precise with it, you can get it out of your hand quicker and all that. So wondering if kind of an infield glove situation where he just feels comfortable with that. But that was interesting to me.
I don't know if it's just because he's massive, but yeah, that glove looks
tiny. It might also be that because like he is like Tyler Myers' height nearly.
He is a large being.
Yeah. It might just be the perspective. That's a good point.
Belarus, they're doing something different over there. I'm trying to figure out what logo this is, because there's a picture of him.
Yeah.
That the province used in an article.
He played in Sweden before he was here, if that's any help.
It was when he was with Dynamo Minsk.
In
the KHL. Their logo looks a lot like, it's the same color scheme and kind of design as the new Utah logo. That's fun. I'm gonna Google if that's still there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a football team.
And the other thing I'm wondering about is like, if let's say we did roll with Lankin and Shilov next year, if it wasn't working with Shilovs for whatever reason, I do wonder if you could maybe swing something in season 2 and just like go find somebody who can get you what you need as a backup. We kind of planned to do this with the defense last year and it kind of bit us, but I wonder if something like that could be on the table as like an emergency option.
Yeah, as an emergency, but also if things aren't working out with Shilovs at that point, would people want him on waivers?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. But even just in terms of like swinging something, not even in terms of like trading Shilovs away, but just in like going and getting some help at backup, like going and I don't know who's necessarily going to be on the cards, but let's say like just get a veteran who can come in and just be a little steadier, maybe.
I am checking. Okay, that's all. Shut up. That's all 2025. Oh, you know who's a UFA in 2026 that we could get? Carey Price. Okay, it's Carey Price. It's Carey Price, Sergei Bobrovsky, Jacob Markstrom, Thatcher Demko. This is
I don't know that any of those are quite what I'd be looking for.
Yeah, I'm gonna... Oh my god, Jonathan Quick is 40. Sorry. That's an old man. Peter Mrazek. Calvin Pickard. Hey, okay, don't... Scott Wedgwood, his contract's up next year. Stolars, his contract's up next year. Nedeljkovic, goal-scoring legend. Who else? Philip Gustafson's probably gonna get re-signed, let's be honest here. Stuart Skinner.
No.
Samuel Ersson. Justus Anonin. There's a few names that I wouldn't mind.
Or even if it's not in free agency, if it's like you make a trade mid-season just with like find a bad team who's willing to give up their backup for like a fourth or something.
Yeah, not like in free agency. I'm just looking at like who is like kind
of what caliber of goalie we could be looking at.
Yeah, or like whose contracts are running out, stuff like that.
Of course, yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. Speaking of, you mentioned Jonathan Quick is 40. Speaking of players who are around 40, Yanni Gourde has signed a contract extension until he is 40, close to 40, something like this. Do you want to take the lead on this one?
Okay, Yanni Gourde, who plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning again, he just signed a 6-year, $13.98 million contract, which I did the math on and I forgot the math promptly. I believe it's around $2 million per year, just over.
I just looked it up on their Instagram, 2.3.
Okay, 2.3 per year. Yeah, so he's about to turn 34, I believe, is what the notification told me. Yanni Gord. Okay, well, he doesn't turn 34 until December. But still, he's going to be almost 40 when his contract runs out. And, like, I get it. It's not a big contract, but, like, bro, why? I don't really understand what the Tampa Bay Lightning are doing, but you know what? They have more cups than I do, so.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it's one of the more confusing moves I've seen, but it's confusing from a team who has made confusing moves work for years and years, so it's like, fair enough.
They're also the team that traded, like, an entire draft class for Tanner Jeannot.
That's true. They did so make the finals that year, I believe.
No.
No, was that the
No,
year
that was 23. That was when they got knocked out in the first round.
Oh, I think I'm thinking of the Blake Coleman year. The year they traded a bunch of stuff for Blake Coleman. Or Barclay Goodrow. They've made a lot of weird trades that they've just all blended into one in my head.
Okay, because Barclay Goodrow was a Ranger in 22, so that's before. Because I'm pretty sure you won a cup with them. I just know they traded a lot of draft capital for, I'm pretty sure it was Tanner Jeannot.
They did, yes. The thing is, they've made so many of these moves, they all blur into one in my head, so I forget which year is which.
You know who was involved in that deal? I'm pretty sure.
Who was involved in that deal?
Cal Foot.
I thought it was Nolan.
I am checking. Oh, yeah, no. He was traded from the Tampa Bay Lightning with a round 3 pick in the 2023 draft, a round 4 pick in the 2023 draft, a round 5 pick in the 2023 draft, a round 2 pick in the 2024 draft, and a round 1 pick in the 2025 draft to the Nashville Predators for Tanner Jeannot.
Okay.
So Nashville got that guy and, like, so many draft picks. And Tampa got some dude. I just remember making a meme about it, that's all. But yeah, Yanni Gordon, you know what? Confusing offseason moves during, like, the Stanley Cup between, like, the Stanley Cup playoff rounds. That's not really anything, like, new. Last year, Washington traded for Pierre-Luc Dubois, and that worked out decently okay for them. So
yeah, I think.
And this was after they got swept in the first round.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, you know what, Tampa? What the hell? Go for it. That's the end of my thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm like,
fair enough.
The runway is run out.
Yeah, that's reasonable. We'll just go to the next item in the planner doc, which simply reads, we had Quinn paired with Tucker, and then a word I'm not going to say because I don't want to edit, Pullman in 2021.
Okay, so last night, I was like, okay, I'm going to put on background noise a Canucks game. Just any Canucks game. And I found the first game that we played against Seattle in Seattle that we won. I remember because we swept the season series against them. And there
game so much.
So this is like Travis Green era hockey. This is we just got OEL in the off-season hockey. This is 2 months before Travis Green and Jim Benning were fired hockey. Context. Well, a month and a half. Anyway, I'm watching this and I am like, mind you, this is like 1:40 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, let's just turn this on. And I'm like, that's not a real stat line there. Because they're showing the lineup and, you know, it's like Bo Horvat and Tanner Pearson, I think Connor Garland, I don't know. And then it's the Lotto line and then, you know, forwards forward group, whatever. They showed the defensive core. OEL Myers. Okay. Quinn Hughes and Tucker Poolman. I could not believe my eyes. I could not believe what I was seeing. We had Quinn Hughes paired with Tucker Poolman at the start of 2021-22.
Do you remember who the other pair was, just out of interest?
No.
Was it like Rathbone and someone?
Rathbone was in that game. I don't remember who he was paired with.
Okay.
I'm going to check now, because that's going to bug me. So, honestly...
I know you're not the biggest Philip Pronik fan in the world, but, like, look how far
it's gotten better. It's gotten better.
There is worlds of difference between Quinn Hughes playing with Pronik, who, like, you know, even in your opinion, I believe you'd say, is a very good NHL defenseman, versus Tucker Poolman, who, God love the man, I'm sure he's a lovely guy, should not have been playing with Quinn Hughes on anything other than, like...
Why?
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Our third line was Highmore, Dickinson, Hoglander. And then our fourth line was Justin Dowling, Chason, and Lamico.
Okay, so... I'm a big Juho Lamico fan. The motto line was great, but also having Matthew Highmore on your third line is not really the best of signs.
Okay.
Chason, I remember, had, like, the worst start to that season I have ever seen from a Canucks player. I ended up liking him by the end of the year. By the end of the year, he had started to get it in gear, and I was actually quite liking him. I kind of hope we re-signed him at the end of that year, but alas, we did not.
We did not. Okay, so yeah, OEL Myers... I guess I could just mute this so I don't have to keep pausing it. Quinn Hughes, Tucker Poolman, and Hockey Night in Canada changed the graphic. Give me a second. Oh, wow. Sorry. There was a Myers hit late after a hand pass.
Oh, yeah, he does that
against Seattle. On Kalle Yarncroke, who does not play for Seattle. Oh, they didn't even show the last D pairing. Because it cut to the replay there. So they don't even...
The only thing I remember about Kalle Yarncroke in Seattle is that during the expansion draft, they had Marshawn Lynch announce that he was their pick.
Versus Seattle. That's honestly iconic. Because he's one of the owners, right?
I don't know if he's a part owner or not, but he's like a Seattle sports icon. I'm a Seahawks fan from that era. I love Marshawn to death.
Okay. I am trying to find... So it was Rathbone.
It was Rathbone.
It was Rathbone and Kyle Burrows.
I'm just checking quickly. Marshawn Lynch is a minority owner of the Seattle Kraken. You were correct.
Macklemore is as well. I know that.
Yes, he is. What a duo.
I was a top, 2% Macklemore listener last year on Spotify, and that is now public information, and I hate that. Yeah, it was OEL Myers, Hughes Poolman, Rathbone Burrows.
I liked Kyle Burrows.
I love Kyle Burrows. Bring him back. We need
I wouldn't go that far. We're nice.
Yeah,
like
but I know.
Defenseman, I wouldn't mind him actually. But
would you rather him or Noah Juleson?
Kyle, come on back.
Yeah. I was like, let's be real here. At one point during the game, they said Chason, and I thought they said Juleson, and I had to rewind it twice because I couldn't hear, obviously, but yeah.
We traded Olli Juolevi for Juho Lamico and Noah Juleson. I liked Lamico, but that Juolevi pick is still haunting our franchise.
It's still haunting our franchise, but that was... Yeah, we would have had to trade the guy who got picked next anyway, so...
Yeah, but you could have at least gotten something decent in theory.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, I would like to have Kyle Burrows back, to be fair, if he was, like, your eighth defenseman. Like, I wouldn't want him at all in the way of, like, Mancini or Willander or someone like that. Like, obviously they get priority, but as
I don't
like
think
someone to throw on
Nylander's.
the bottom pair occasionally, who can kill a penalty, who can bring some physicality, you can do worse.
I don't think Nylander starts the year
I
in the
wouldn't
NHL.
expect it, but I wouldn't rule it out either. Like, I think it just depends on what he shows in camp in the preseason.
Yeah, fair.
Or like, I do think he'll start in Abbotsford. Who, speaking of, let's talk about the Abbotsford playoffs right now. What a segue, Alex. Great job. So right now they are playing in the Western Conference Finals for the AHL against the Texas Stars. Won both of the home games in Abbotsford. Lost Game 3, 5-2 in Texas. I believe Game 4 is tomorrow or today at time of recording. That's something I probably should have Googled earlier.
Double checking. Copy VR checking. Oh, okay.
It is tomorrow at the HEB Center, which is the most Texan name for a building I've ever seen.
The HEB Center?
HEB. It's a grocery chain that they absolutely love in Texas, and I'm not sure why they're so fond of a grocery store.
Why do you know about a grocery? Anyway.
It's a long story. Anyway.
Okay.
Involves the San Antonio Spurs. So.
The Orange County Breakers also... Oh, they were a world... Sorry, there was World Team Tennis? What the hell is that?
Huh?
Sorry, this is another tangent. Abbotsford.
Abbotsford. So, game 4 goes tomorrow. From what we saw in the first couple games, this looks like a very doable series.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on the rest of the way for the Abby Canucks?
I am just happy we got past the Colorado Eagles.
Yeah.
Because I do not like them. But I'm so proud of these guys. They're doing amazing. Manny Malhotra, you are working wonders, mate. I just wow. Absolute cinema. The first 2 games, so exciting. Game 1 won in overtime. Game 2, 1-0 from Akito Hirose. A goal got waved off from Dallas. Nope. Texas. Later on, I'm like, they play in Austin. Yeah, it's a great run. She Loves is having a generational type of run here. And it's a team that really works together, which is not something you can say often about a team named the Canucks. So I'm really happy to see it. And it's cool to see. It's fun to see that, like, the AHL team's getting some love now from people that, like, don't usually pay that much attention because, they're in Abbotsford, right? So I don't know. I'm happy for them. I think it is a doable series, especially because the Texas, not Dallas, they have Cole Lind, former Canuck. Cole Lind is on the Texas Stars, and he keeps trying to fight Shilovs. It happens at least once a game, sometimes twice a game. But yeah, I hope we beat them based on just that fact. And also, he scored the first goal for Texas last night and scored the first goal for Texas in the series. So I think it'd be really funny if we won. I mean, if the Canucks win the next 2 games, that means we don't get a Game 6 or Game 7, but that also means that we go directly to the finals, which is a big deal. And it'll be interesting to see who makes it out of Laval and Charlotte. I think Charlotte has the edge in that series.
Yeah.
But the possibility... Yeah, Charlotte, I'm pretty sure, is up 3-0 in the series. Wait, okay. Let me... Last 5 games. Okay. Yeah. Charlotte is up 3-0 in the series, so if they win Game 4 tonight, they go to the finals. But I don't know, if Laval comes back, we could have an all-Canadian final, which could be cool, in the American Hockey League. But also the French. I don't know. I'm excited. I just think it's a great time to be a Abbotsford Canucks fan.
Yeah, no, that's an important qualifier before Canucks there.
Distinction, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just hoping they get to the final here and do what other BC-based sports teams can't win in a final here. Or at least score in it. We'll talk about that later.
We don't need to talk. Yeah.
No, I have thoughts.
Okay.
Before we talk about that, before we get to the Stanley Cup, actually, I just want to add a little something in that I've just seen online. Thomas Drance hints that Vancouver could target Matt Duchene if he is the best option to add skill up front on July 1st. Thoughts on the idea of Matt
Duchene?
Ow.
No! I'm sorry. No! I know somebody that would be very excited about that, but no! Please!
To headphone users, anyway, I can only apologize. That hurt.
Yeah. I'm sorry!
I'm going to turn my volume down a little.
Chroncast is cancelled. Alex Rickman on LTIR. Please don't sign Matt Duchene. There's so many better options.
So let's get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Carolina and Dallas. You may as well have just stayed home, frankly, with how you guys played in these series.
Carolina won a game.
Yeah.
Carolina won their first.
I'm pretty sure the last time they won a Stanley Cup final game was the year Cars came out, as you pointed out last show, and I believe George Bush was president of the United States at that point. So it's been a minute.
2006. Yep.
Yeah. Proceeded to
Thanks, Obama.
Absolutely blow it in Game 5 against the Panthers. So that's over.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas, you could have at least pretended you wanted to be competitive this series.
Pete DeBoer, all-time level crash out. And listen, I love a good crash out. I had one worth a voice message that I literally added classical music to because I just thought it was really funny. Yeah. Anyway, Pete DeBoer. Oh my God, you were so getting fired. You can't talk about your franchise goaltender like that. You can't talk about any of your players really like that, to be honest. You don't have the aura of John Tortorella, which is not also a good thing, because he got fired before the season ended. So, on a team that was already doomed, because they're in Philadelphia. I don't know. That's a choice that he made. Enjoy. What's another team that's needing a head coach right now? The New York Knicks. Enjoy that. They fired their head coach this morning after making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I don't follow basketball, but I'm still like, that's a dumb move. Anyway.
Yeah,
sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say, unless Timothy Chalamet's your next coach. He was very invested. He got Kylie Jenner invested in the sport.
So we got a finals rematch of last year in the NHL now. Edmonton and Florida going up against each other in the matchup that I don't think a single Canucks fan would have said at the start of the playoffs that this is what they wanted to see. This was probably among the least desired matchups for most Canucks fans that you could possibly get, and a lot of people around the league who just wanted to see maybe something new. Is this really the best you can do?
Yay! The same damn teams over and over again. I love the NHL. Oh, really?
The NBA.
Really? What have you been saying the entire last 2 weeks?
Oh, no. I'm willing to cheer for them. I don't like them.
Same here. Different team.
But vamos gatos.
Goilers. Anyway, play La Bamba. Anyway, I can't wait to see the Stanley Cup not be at that musty, dusty old building that we burned down in 1814. Please, Connor McDavid. I beg you.
I had no idea where you were going with that.
I didn't either. That is when I start talking most of the time. I don't know where it's gonna end.
You just hope to find the words along the way.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe the sentence is the friends we made along the way. Anyway. Yeah, Stanley Cup Finals. I can't believe I have to say this, but I hope the Edmonton Oilers win the Stanley Cup. I hope it's a good series. I hope Sam Bennett gets his dues. Anyway, that's about all I can say.
I cannot believe not only that I'm going to say this, but that I'm going to say this on air and I'm going to mean it. Brad Marchand, please win a ring. That hurt. That hurt to say.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let you sit with that one for a minute.
I know exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Yes, I just said that I want Rat King to win another ring.
I just want you to think about it.
Oh yeah. No, I've thought of every possible.
It's like Doctor Strange.
Yeah. No, yeah.
There's no winning in this scenario. Somebody has to kill Tony Stark. That's all I remember from Endgame. I don't know. I watched like the newer Marvel movies, and like yesterday, spoiler, Bucky's a congressman and it is not explained. That is not the career choice that I would have made if I'm Bucky Barnes.
That's an accurate depiction of U.S. politics, though. Random people who probably shouldn't be in Congress running and succeeding.
He probably has more political experience, though. He was a Soviet spy for a number of years.
Really, not a whole lot of redeeming factors to the Stanley Cup. But there might be something that sounds pretty similar that does have some redeeming factors.
Connor McDavid Cup. Give him a cup. I know you don't like Connor McDavid, but...
I hate Connor McDavid.
If you just proclaimed your undying love for Brad Marchand...
Oh, no, hold on. That is a reach and a half.
Okay.
I said I'm temporarily tolerating him.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let you deal with that one. Anyway, Stanley Pup. You're so done with me. You're so done. I can't wait. Leon Draisaitl was holding that trophy so hard. They're gonna win. Sidney Crosby lost in his first Stanley Cup final to the Detroit Red Wings in 2008. They did not touch the trophy then. They touched the trophy the next year when they win the conference final. And they win against the same team that beat them the year prior. This year, Florida, Edmonton. Once again, last year, Edmonton. COVID protocols on the damn trophy. So did Florida. But they're playing the team that beat them last year. They're gonna do it. I knock on wood. Please, Oilers. Please.
The Buffalo Bills lost 4 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah, but that's Buffalo.
2 of them to the same team.
Yeah, but that's Buffalo.
It's Edmonton. It's not that much better.
Buffalo is the Ferrari of the NFL, okay? Nothing goes right for them.
No, Ferrari used to be good.
Ferrari in the oh, no, that was early 21st. Ferrari in the time I've been conscious.
The Bills are like Haas. Or the Sabres, not the Bills. The Bills are at least good-ish. Let's stop talking about the Buffalo Bills.
Josh Allen got married. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Stanley Pup. I just want to go through all the names, and if you haven't looked up what these dogs look like, they're so adorable. Basically, what the Stanley Pup is, it's a friendly competition with rescue dogs. They get a bunch of rescue dogs. Last year was just playoff teams that got dog representatives. This year, all 32 NHL teams have a puppy representative. All these dogs are up for adoption in their respective cities, and so they're doing this. It's airing before the first game of the Stanley Cup Final on Friday. So for Anaheim, we have Troy Terrier. For the Boston Bruins, we have Jeremy Spayman. For the Buffalo Sabres, we have Rasmus Dahlin. For the Carolina Hurricanes, we have Taylor Howell. For the Columbus Blue Jackets, we have Elvis Merlishkins.
That one's bad.
That one's bad. For the Calgary Flames,
so far.
For Calgary Flames, we have Dustin Wolf.
Okay, that one I like.
That one's good. For the Chicago Blackhawks, we have Tyler Barktuzzi. For the Colorado Avalanche, we have Devon Stays. For the Dallas Stars, we have Jake Ottinger.
That might be the worst one yet.
For the Detroit Red Wings, we have Dylan Barkin. For the Edmonton Oilers, this one might be the worst. Leon Outsidel. That one's pretty bad. For the Florida Panthers, Matthew Fetchuk. Yeah, it's spelled Fketchuk. This one's just bad. Los Angeles Kings, Drew Doggy. This one's my favorite. Minnesota Wild, Mats Buparello.
That was good.
Mats Buparello is also adorable. For Montreal Canadiens, we have Nick Chuzuki. Chew. For the New Jersey Devils, Doggy Hamilton, who looks like he's seen some things at 20 weeks old. Yeah, that's enough time. For the Nashville Predators, Philip Forsberg. For the New York Islanders, Jean-Gabriel Pageau. For the New York Rangers, Mika Zibanejad. For the Ottawa Senators, Claude Giroux. I think that's how you're saying. Okay, this one's confusing. It has numbers in it. For the Philadelphia Flyers, Travis K9 Ekney. It's bad. That one's bad. Very cute dog though. Cute dog.
Yeah, maybe the worst name so far.
This one, this dog, I like. It's a Pyrenees mix, so the dog's gonna be massive. But for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Posby. I would actually name my dog that. Yeah. For the Seattle Kraken, Jared McCanine. For the San Jose Sharks, we have Tyler Toffoli. For the Seattle, no. Why do I keep saying Seattle? St. Louis Blues.
Yeah,
St. Louis
3 teams now. This is getting out of
St.
hand.
Louis Blues. Dylan
Expansion's getting out of
Holloway.
hand.
Dylan Holloway. Expansions. Yeah. Gary Bettman really loves Seattle.
Really does.
For Tampa Bay Lightning, which I find really funny because this dog is a beagle mix. Braden Pointer. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, Morgan Ruffley. For the Utah Mammoth, Logan Drewley. For the Vancouver Canucks, Jake DeBruff. This is so cute. This is bad. Vegas Golden Knights, Shea Theodorable. I mean, a very cute dog, but yeah. Sorry. Winnipeg Jets, Nikolai Yellers. And finally, we have, for the Washington Capitals, John Snarlson. It's bad. Anyway.
I wish Jay Beagle was still in the league just for this.
Canucks legend. And then he had beef with Trevor Zegras. So, that's like all I remember about him. That being the whole debate.
More.
Yeah, Yeah, that was a time. But yeah, that's the Stanley Cup. Watch it. Support animal shelters that, are ethical. I don't know why that's the way I'm going, but that's where we're at. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I know you don't want to talk about this game, but we are going to have to talk about this game. So, Vancouver Whitecaps FC took on Mexican side Cruz Azul in the final of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, falling 5-0 in Mexico City, down 4-0 at halftime. Not much to say about that game. One of the worst performances I've ever seen the Whitecaps put on, really, in such a big performance. A lot of factors to blame for this one, but I don't want to go too deep into anything. That was a rough watch. It just did not look like anyone wanted to be there, knew they had to be there. Just didn't. It felt flat. I got interviewed by City News, who did not use my interview clip, but also CTV, who did use it. So go check that out if you want to see me talk about the Whitecaps a little bit. But yeah, just rough game. Earlier in the week had a 0-0 draw where they also looked kind of flat against Minnesota United. And next weekend they'll be taking on Seattle Sounders in a derby with half of the team missing on international duty or due to injuries.
Don't we have 11
I think
missing
it was 9?
Total? I think with injuries it was 11. I could be wrong though.
Yeah. A lot of players. More than would be considered optimal to not have in your squad.
Gall's injured, White, Berhalter, Blackman?
Nope.
Ali, Sam. Not Blackman?
He didn't get called up, no.
Okay. Ali, Sam.
Cubas. Did you say Cubas?
Cubas. No, I didn't.
Tate.
I said Tate.
Okay. Vite?
Vite. That's 9. I have Gald counted for injury. Who else is injured right now? Okay, it might have been 9.
He'll be back in a few weeks.
We cannot put Thatcher Demko in for Yohei Takaoka.
But he might be back in time for the end of round 2.
He'll be back in time for the conference finals.
We just didn't say which conference finals.
Thatcher Demko, you are playing against the Portland Timbers. Never mind, Portland's bad. Anyway,
Demko was going to play for the Knicks, that's why they lost.
Oh! I don't think you have a goalkeeper in basketball. I don't watch it a lot. But...
They're trying to revolutionize the sport.
It obviously didn't work out.
Nope.
Anyway, yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about the game. Just that it was a game where I broke out Game of Life, which says something about the performance. Also, you missed the second time when you were getting interviewed. So we were playing your turns for you in Game of Life. The second time, you landed on a house buying spot, and so we bought you a teepee. And then we never finished the game, and I was not gonna tell you that, but I just thought it would be funny. Yeah. So you have a TP now in the Game of Life. That is it. Pause on my phone, but yeah. So that says something about the performance of the game. Yeah, 4-0. The screen stopped working half the time, which honestly kind of a blessing in disguise. Team didn't even get a shot off.
Georgios Giacomakis burned into part of it.
Yeah, because Veselinovic, I think, went down.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was checking on Renko, and I'm like, okay, cool. Renko Veselinovic, he was like the only player that like really cared.
Yeah, Renko's the only one who I don't want to slag off any of the players because it was just a rough game for everyone, but nobody showed up. It felt like there's a lot of factors at play here. At the end of the day, like, I am still very proud of the team, though, for getting to this point. This was not something I would have expected earlier this season, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, to ever see the Whitecaps do.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah, like, I thought we were going to lose in the first round of the tournament to Saprissa.
Of all teams.
And we make the final. So, still very proud of the guys. Hopefully the people at BC Place give them a good welcome home when they come back. They deserve it. At least what's left of the team for that game against Seattle. But yeah, I am interested too to see how this affects the rest of the way, because obviously losing a final is something that's going to take a toll on a team, and you would normally have a full off season to like kind of get back into a good flow, get back into a good rhythm. They have a week. And that week is going to be coming without a lot of key players and against your biggest rivals at home. But at the same time, I do think that having a lot of the guys on international duty may help, because it gets them into a new environment quickly, so they don't necessarily sit there and dwell. They have to focus on something else.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we'll see how this all works, but I trust the guys. We're still top of the West, so we got an MLS Cup to win still.
Yeah. Just a reminder, Seattle away stats 2-4-3.
Yeah.
Just putting that out there. I can't wait to win on a 95th minute penalty again. Anyway. Or actually, no. Draw on a 90. That was a draw. I should know that. We was in the draw.
And celebrated it like a win. Shout out to everyone with the Southsiders, Vancouver Albion, and other supporters group who made the trip to Seattle last year and celebrated a draw shamelessly.
Well, yeah, we had to wait for the Sounders fans to leave.
Gotta occupy ourselves somehow.
Yeah, that was fun. What else was I gonna say? I don't know. Happy that it happened. Well, sad that it went the way it did, but in the end, a medal's a medal.
Yeah. So let's talk about, for the second week in a row, an F1 race that I have not yet watched, but I've seen more or less the results of. Let's talk about the Spanish Grand Prix. I've heard it was a good Spanish Grand Prix this year, which I entirely blame on the fact that I missed it.
How do you only have, out of all the tires that you could have brought, how do you still only have the hards? Why did they tell him to let George pass? It is literally like there was no thing where Max like would have gotten a penalty had he stayed in front of George. So if Red Bull hadn't made the call, I'm not saying this is GP I'm going to blame Christian Horner for this actually. Like if they hadn't told Max to let George pass, he probably wouldn't have hit him and then gotten the 10-second penalty and then finished the race 10th. Because of the 10-second penalty, he still got driver of the day, which is so hilarious to me because he didn't even get that when he like would win races at all. Like there was it was a long time for him to get a driver of the day last year. I think he got his first in Brazil. Meanwhile, Lando got it for not finishing the race in Austria. I'm still definitely over that. Don't say anything. It was a good race, but very chaotic. Yuki Tsunoda, it is not your fault. It is the car. Gabriel Bortoleto cannot catch a break. Did Fernando Alonso get points? I don't think he did.
We are checking 2 points.
Oh, yeah, he got his first points of the season. Congratulations. Nico Hulkenberg, 10 points. That is over double than the total points Sauber got last year. That's also because, they had a very bad car last year. And that was based on the work of Zhou Guanyu, who should definitely have a seat for next year. Nico Hulkenberg, 10 points. So much happened during that. Like, the last little bit, I was, almost falling asleep, right? Because, the race was at 6 a.m. And I'm almost falling asleep. And then I'm I get a message from one of my friends who's also watching the race, and it's like, oh, here we go, in all capitals. And I look up, and it's oh, safety car. And I'm oh, shoot. And chaos unfolded. Lewis Hamilton, please, Ferrari, please stop doing this to him. But also, why did a Sauber pass you? Isaac Hadjar is trying to not get into the Red Bull seat so hard, and honestly, I don't blame him for it. What happened to Alex Albon?
It's funny mentioning Lewis. The moment I saw he was going to Ferrari, I immediately thought, this is not going to end well.
It never ends well.
Ferrari does not end well for anyone. This just especially felt like a really bad pair to put together.
Yeah.
I can't even say why specifically. It just did not feel like it was going to end well.
I mean, it never ends well. Ferrari is where, World Drivers' Champion hopes go to die. Because, Vettel, Alonso, Raikkonen.
Also, I just want to show off something that I got going back to the Whitecaps game.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a ball at the Whitecaps training facility. They put it over a fence, and I got to take it. So shout out to Yohei Takaoka, I presume, for kicking a ball over a fence. I actually have no idea who it was, but Yohei, I think, can kick the furthest of anyone on the team. So I'm just.
Well, I would hope so.
It's kind of his job.
It's kind of his job. I'm pretty sure he kicked. There was a goal kick against Cruz Azul. There was a goal kick he took, and it went out of bounds behind the Cruz Azul net.
Yeah.
So that's when I finally believed, okay, maybe he was saying something actually.
With Mexico City too, there's the altitude that would factor into the carry on that, but
oh yeah, I guess.
Also altitude mentioned, we're massive.
Jesus Christ.
Our women's team's top of the league. Just saying.
Okay, cool. Congrats. That is cool. Yeah. Let's top of the league. Say the altitude. I hate myself.
This show's going off the rails.
Yeah. Spanish Grand Prix. You were entertaining Lance Stroll, please be okay for Canada. That's all I can say. Also, shame on you, F1 medical staff, for letting him drive in pain for the last 3 years.
I wonder...
And sorry.
Go ahead. I'll come back.
Let's remind everybody that Lance Stroll, up until this race, which he was not participating in, up until this race, he was the only person to get points for Aston Martin.
I wonder, so...
Just saying.
Drugovich may be skipping Le Mans as a result of Stroll's injuries if he can't race in Canada. There have been people wondering online if Max Verstappen is trying to pick up penalty points to be banned for a race so that he can go race in Le Mans and take Drugovich's seat. I don't necessarily believe in these theories, but it would be funny.
That's the thing. I don't think that can happen, though, because he would have to get the penalty points in practice on Friday. in Canada because that's the next race. So unless he like joins a different series like overnight somehow and gets the penalty points that way, because Le Mans is the same weekend.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, if anyone was going to do that, it would be him.
Yeah.
But I still have my doubts over him doing that.
Yeah. He, Sorry, Bill Zito thing. He said, I think the tax thing is marginal at best when talking about attracting free agents.
No, it's not. Okay, anyway.
Sure, Jan. Yeah, Sorry, what was I talking about? Max Verstappen. Yeah. He also has a clause in his contract that if he's in the top 5 of the Drivers' Championship at the end Austria Grand Prix, which I believe is the halfway point of the season, then there's a clause that means he could leave the team after 2026. I believe his original contract goes until 2028, but if he
is in the top 5.
If he is in the top 5 by the end of Austria, the Austrian Grand Prix weekend, he can leave Red Bull at the end of 2026. It'd be interesting to see what happens. If he goes to another series, he said that, like, would it be cool to get 8? Yeah, sure. But also, like, he has a young family now. He probably doesn't want to stay around the team that is not slowly, but it's falling apart at the seams pretty much.
Yeah.
Red Bull is, I don't know. I could see him in like endurance racing, stuff like that. It'd be cool. I don't think he gets in for Le Mans. I think Lance would come back by Canada, hopefully, is why they're doing it now. So like he has potentially a better showing in Canada. It would suck to miss your home Grand Prix because there's also a whole grandstand named the Lance Stroll Grandstand. So, like, and it is his home Grand Prix. It's like, he's from Quebec, so he's from Montreal. Like, anyway.
Yeah.
Why am I defending Lance Stroll? Anyway.
Anything else to talk about?
Oh, I just had a point about player polls.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, so The Athletic did a player poll, an anonymous player poll of NBA players, and it's different from the like typical, like the NHL also does one. The NHLPA, NHL Players Association, does one. But the NHL players ones, they're all basic questions like who's the best goalie, who's the best forward, who's the best defenseman. Best overall defenseman, Cale Makar got 71.78% of the vote.
Well, they can be wrong.
They can be wrong. Quinn Hughes got 7.44%. I don't know what kind of hockey they're watching, but okay. Let's all remind, Cale Makar is, he's alright, I guess, but like, the best defenseman? I'm pretty sure Tyler Myers could walk him. Anyway, that's smartest overall player, Sidney Crosby, so he can read. Best overall skater, Connor McDavid, first. Cale Makar, second. Okay. Nathan McKinnon. Quinn Hughes. Jesper Bratt.
Oh.
Best fashion sense, it was David Pastrnak first, tied with Austin Matthews. I went back in the history. One time Patrick Kane got voted in the top 5 of this thing. So hockey players don't know anything. Who would be a good broadcaster once they retire? And they always have the more recent years they've had questions. Apparently Montreal is the best ice.
Yeah.
They always have a question about like women's hockey the past few years. Before that, it was like, who do you think is the best women's hockey player? And it's basically just like, name a woman! That kind of question. They want to see the jailbreak goal.
Yeah.
Introduced, which is a rule that I love, and also the 3, 2, 1, and 0 point system, which I also love. So I made a whole spreadsheet about that last year. But these are all like very surface level questions. Yeah. Athletics NBA player poll, which I get is not by like the Players Association. It was by, an outside party, a media outlet, yeah. But they also had some controversial ones. The NHLPA player poll has not had like they did it once. In the first year they did the player poll in 2017-18, which was what arena has the worst ice. Florida. Shocker. But this is where the NBA players voted. One of the questions that is like most publicized from this was who's the league's most overrated player, and Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers now made the finals. He was labeled with 14.4% of the vote. Yeah. Scotty Barnes also got a vote, which like whoever wrote that, screw you. Scotty Barnes is awesome. I love Scotty Barnes. He also got a vote for most underrated player. So
balances out.
They also the Canucks, the NHLPA also did an underrated player. I don't remember what year it was, but it wasn't this year. But yeah, they have like what's the league's best organization, and then they also had what's the league's worst organization. Charlotte Hornets, apparently, 38.1% of the vote. And then who is the best coach of the league aside from your current coach? Who is the worst coach in the league aside from your current coach? Which player in the league would you least like to fight? Do you like Adam Silver's idea of changing to 10-minute quarters?
Yeah.
Are the NBA's gambling partnerships good or bad for the league?
Ooh.
Yeah.
These are good questions.
These are good questions. 5 years from now, who will be the face of the league? With over half of the vote, Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, yeah.
Which, yeah, he's very good. Which team other than your own will win the title this season? 57.7% of the vote went to the Boston Celtics. They are no longer in the playoffs. Second was OKC.
Injury too.
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, Tatum.
Right. He got voted for one of these things. I think he was somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting to see. I think that it would be cool to have a bit more personality shown in these things, which obviously it's anonymous. And they didn't have, I don't know how big the rosters are, but the votes cast were there were only 90 votes cast for the most overrated player.
Yeah.
So not a lot of people participated in all the questions. There's 155 for the MVP, 90 for overrated, 136 for underrated. You don't have to participate in all of this, but I feel more variety of stuff would be interesting to see.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I don't know if the NHLPA would be the ones, because technically they represent all the players, so if they had an overrated player.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would need an outside party, which I was
tied to the league wouldn't probably be going in able to say worst organization. That's probably not the best look for them. And then obviously stuff like overrated player. If the NHLPA put out a poll around the most overrated player in the league, that's going to be so many problems for them.
Oh yeah, they've had questions in the past. They didn't have it this year, but who is the best trash talker? Who's the worst trash talker?
Yeah.
One of the years, Antoine Roussel was voted second in that. They have questions like that, but that's part of the game.
Yeah.
Right?
That's just a little fun. It's not anything controversial.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't know. I wish there was more freedom of expression, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is the Canadian version of freedom of speech. That's all I have to say about that. I just wanted to make the point of hey, NHL, this is a topic of conversation that has been going on for quite a while surrounding one player, and now there's a lot of hype towards the NBA Finals because of this, with Halliburton being voted the most overrated player. Yeah. Anyway, that's that's my take. Give us
Yeah.
more things. NHL, please.
So anything else, or should we begin wrapping up the show?
That's all. I don't need to talk about Fortnite. I'm an adult.
All right, so just thank you everybody for listening. You can check us out on Instagram at Nux Chronicles, but thank you for checking out the show. Please check out the rest of our episodes over on Spotify and YouTube. Thank you to Helmut Markov for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good one.